I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on functions. We'll discuss a test paper from Rational Expressions Unit 2. We have about 12 questions in this video to discuss. First 5 are multiple choice questions, right? Followed by knowledge based questions, and then application and thinking questions. So the last question here is also a communication question, correct? So I hope that will give you a good practice on understanding the concepts about rational expressions. Let's now begin with their solutions. Question number 1. Identify the rational expression that is equivalent to 2 minus x over 3x. So you look into each expression, 2 minus x, let's simplify them. So the very first one, the denominator is 3x, but numerator is different, that doesn't work. Here we have twice 3x, so that might work. So let me take 2 common. So when I take 2 common, I get 2 minus x, and the denominator is 6x. So we can cancel this, correct? So as soon as I do that, I get 2 minus x over 3x. So option B is the right option, correct? Question number 2. Simplify 4x squared minus 9 over 4x plus 6. So let us straight away simplify this, and then we are going to match the answer. Well, restriction is only one here, and which is that x is not equal to minus 6 over 4 or 3 over 2, right? So we know that restriction, but let's first simplify. This is the difference of square. So I could write the numerator as 2x plus 3 times 2x minus 3, and the denominator here is 4x plus 6. We can take 2 common, so we get 2x plus 3. So 2x plus 3 will cancel, so we are left with 2x minus 3 over 2. And restriction here is that x is not equal to minus 3 over 2, correct? So that should be the right answer. So we have 2x minus 3 over 2, x is not equal to minus 3 by 2, is the option A for us. Question number 3. Determine the lowest common denominator for this expression. Well, it is x times x minus 1. So we have this as x times x minus 1, which you expand to get x squared minus x, and that is also option A. Question number 4. For what values of x is this expression undefined? So we need to factor the denominator and find our zeros. So 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. So 10. So we could write this as 2x squared minus 10x plus x minus 5. We need to factor the denominator. So in the first two terms, 2x is common. So we could write this as x minus 5. And we already have x minus 5 there. So x minus 5 is one factor, and 2x plus 1 is the other factor. So restriction is it is not equal to 5 and minus half. So 5 and minus half is option B. The last question, question number 5 in the multiple choice section is, the vertical asymptote of a rational function is the same as the value that makes denominator 0. This is not really correct because you could get a whole also, right? You could also get a whole, correct? Common denominator, no. Restriction after simplification is the right option because you have cancelled the common factor to simplify, and then whatever is remaining, and that restriction will be the asymptote. Perfect. So this is the right answer. Let's move on and now take thinking questions. Create two rational expressions whose product results in a graph with holes at x equals to minus 1, x equals to 2.5, and vertical asymptote at x equals to plus minus 4. Express your answer in factored form, right? Okay, so we have to create two expressions. So let's create one, we'll split into two. The graph has a hole at x minus 1. That means we have a factor x plus 1 in the numerator and x plus 1 in the denominator also. 2.5 means we have 2x minus 5, that will give me 2.5. We have 2x minus 5 in the denominator also. Vertical asymptotes at x equals to plus minus 4. That means here we have x plus 4, x minus 4, or you can say x square minus 16. Right? So something like this can give you a combination. Is that correct? Right? So what we could do here is we could write two functions as f of x equal to, let me add these ones with one of them. So we'll have x plus 1 times 2x minus 5 over x square minus 16. Let this be 1. The other one, we'll say the other function here will be equal to 1 over x plus 1 times 2x minus 5. So when you multiply, you get all this. Do you get the idea? And then the restrictions will be as shown here. And you also want to show the answer in the factored form. So that could be one of the options. Definitely, there are more than one options in this case. Correct? So that is how you could actually explain and write your answer. Question number 7. An estimate of cost C of x in billions of dollars to keep the atmosphere in Canada X% free of a chemical toxin is given by this. Simplify the expression and state the restrictions. Determine the cost to keep the atmosphere 99% free of chemical toxins. So let's first simplify this expression, right? So we have x minus 2 over 110 x minus x squared. So I can take x common, right? So we take x common, and what we have is 110 minus x. Divided by, let's write multiplied as a product, and we'll flip this, right? So in the numerator, 5x squared plus 100x will be there. So I'll take 5x common, and I'm left with x. Dividing 100 by 5 gives me 20, right? And then x we have already taken as common. Now here we have x squared plus 18x minus 40. So we have to split this product and sum. We are looking for a product of minus 40 and sum of plus 18. So what could be those two numbers? Well, 20 times 2 can work for us. So we can write this as x plus 20 times x minus 2. Does make sense to you? So that is how we could write our expression, right? So it says an estimate of the cost in billions of dollars is given by this. So that is your cost. Do you see that? So that becomes your cost function. Let us simplify this expression. We can cancel some common factors, correct? We can cancel this x here. So we have cancelled x minus 2 also. Now we could write this as 5 in the numerator over 100 minus x in the denominator. Now remember writing restrictions. One is that x is not equal to 110. Then here, because this was a division, we have to write all the restrictions. So minus 20 and 2. So x cannot have these values. Perfect. So we now have a simplified expression, which is c is equal to 5 over 100 minus x, where x is not equal to minus 20, 2 and 110. Now let's do part B. So this is A for us. Determine the cost to keep the atmosphere 99% free of chemical toxins. So what is x? Where x% free. So x is already in percent. So we'll write 99 for x and calculate the answer. So for part B, we can write C is equal to 5 over 100 minus 99, which is 5 over 1 or 5. Now what is C? C is in billions of dollars. So our answer here is $5 billion. Is that clear to you? So that is how we are going to answer this question. Perfect. So I hope this is absolutely clear. Let's move on and take the next question. Question number 8. The volume V of gas increases or decreases with the temperature T according to the Charles law by the formula V1 over V2 equals to T1 over T2. Determine V1 if V2 equals to n square minus 16 over n minus 1, T1 is n minus 1 over 3, and T2 is n plus 4 over 6. We need to find what V1 is. We are given V1 over V2 is equal to T1 over T2, correct? So we can rearrange and we can find V1 as V2 times T1 over T2, correct? So that becomes our formula for V1. Now we know what V2, T1, T2 are. We can substitute these values and then find a formula in terms of n, correct? So that's what we will do. So let's write V1 as equals to V2. V2 is given to us as n square minus 16 over n minus 1 times T1, which is n minus 1 over 3 times. Now this is divided by T2, right? So this will be reciprocal. So it becomes 6 over n plus 4. Does it make sense to you? So that is how we can write the expression for V1. Now we can factor, correct? N square minus 16 is n plus 4 times n minus 4. We have n minus 1 here and the number 6. In the denominator, we have n minus 1. We have the number 3 and we have n plus 4. So let's cancel whatever can be cancelled, right? So n minus 1 cancels. That goes 2 times and n plus 4 also cancels. So we get V1 as equal to 2 times n minus 4. Is that clear to you? So that becomes our answer. So our answer here is that V1 equals to, you could write this as 2n minus 8. Right. Question number 9. Prove that the triangle with these sides, n square minus 1, 2n, and n square plus 1, is a right angle triangle. So right angle triangle means Pythagorean identity, right? So this is right angle only if and only if, well, n square plus 1, n square minus 1, and 2n. So these are your values given. Now which one is the largest value? Let us assume, see, n has to be greater than 1, right? So in this case, n has to be greater than 1, correct? So if I take n as 2, 2 times 2 is 4, so this is 5, so that is bigger, correct? So we'll use that as the bigger side. So let's find what is, when it says prove that the triangle with these sides, so that means we will assume, let's make a triangle here now. So we have one side as 2n, we have n square minus 1, and this side as n square plus 1. Now for this to be a right angle triangle, we have to show that this squares when you add, that is 2n whole square plus n square minus 1 whole square is square of n square plus 1. Do you understand? That is what we want to show, correct? So let's open these brackets and figure it out. So what we get here is 4n square plus, this will be n to the power of 4, right, square of this, minus 2 times n square plus 1. So that's what you get, right? Now this can be combined and written as n to the power of 4, and 4n square minus 2n square is plus 2n square, and here you get plus 1. And this expression on the right hand side is what? This is n square, right? Plus 1 whole square, correct? So what we have shown here is sum of the squares of these two sides is equal to the third side, and therefore it is a right angle triangle, right? Since sum of squares of two sides is equal to the square of the third side the triangle is right angle triangle. Is that clear to you, right? Question number 10. The two rational functions have the same restrictions. Are they equivalent functions? Explain and provide an example. Well, we can take one function, let's say f of x, as equal to 1 over, let's say, x plus 1, correct? And the other as, let's say, g of x as, let's say, 3 over x plus 1. Now, they have the same restrictions, but they are not the same. This is 3 times the other, right? So, we clearly know that f of x is not equal to g of x, right? However, both have same restriction, that is, x is not equal to minus 1. Here also, x is not equal to minus 1. Does make sense? So, a simple example could also work. You can give a more complicated one also. Now, question number 11. Now, here's another very interesting test question. I'd like you to pause the video, answer this question, and then look into my suggestions. The concentration C of caffeine from a large Tim Hortons coffee in the bloodstream T hours after consumed is given by the expression C equals to 3t plus 15 over t square minus 25, and from a Starbucks coffee is given by the expression 4t square minus 1 over 2t square plus 90 minus 5. If a person has 1 cup of each on a Friday morning, back to back, simplify, then determine the concentration of caffeine after 4 hours. You can always pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. So the person had back to back both the coffees, so we have to add them, right? So the concentration will be, you have to add both the expressions, which are 3t plus 15 over t square minus 25 plus the other one, which is 4t square minus 1 over 2t square plus 9t minus 5. So let's factor them. So t square minus 25 can be written as t plus 5 times t minus 5. The numerator, we can take 3 common. So we'll write this as 3 t plus 5, and the denominator as t minus 5 times t plus 5, correct? Plus 4t square minus 1 can be written as 2t minus 1 times 2t plus 1. 2t square plus 9t minus 5. So 10 and 9t can be split as 10 minus 1, right? So we need negative, so one of them has to be negative. So let's do this on the side. So if I have to write this, let's write this, we'll do it in 2 steps here. 2t square plus 9t minus 5. We can write this as 2t square plus 10t minus t minus 5. Now from these two terms, 2t is common. So we get t plus 5. And here we can take minus common and we get t plus 5. And then t plus 5 is common. So we have 2t minus 1. So we can write this as t plus 5 times 2t minus 1. So that becomes the, once we have factored, we can simplify and then we can combine the terms, right? So here t plus 5 and t plus 5 can cancel. We have 2t minus 1 and 2t minus 1, which can also cancel. So we have a common denominator, which is t minus 5 times t plus 5. So we'll take that as a common denominator, which is t minus 5 times t plus 5. And here in the numerator, we'll multiply 3 with t plus 5, and we'll multiply 2t plus 1 with t minus 5. Let's open this bracket. So we get 3t plus 15, and here we get plus 2t square plus t minus 10t minus 5 over t square minus 25. We can write like this also, t minus 5 times t plus 5. So c is equal to 2t square, 3t plus t is 4t, taking away 6, minus 10t leaves us with minus 6t. The constants are 15 and minus 5, which is 10, over t minus 5 times t plus 5. Well, that is 10 times 2. We can take 2 common, and then we get 3 and 5. So that cannot be factored. But anyway, you could write this as 2 times t square minus 3t plus 5 over t minus 5 times t plus 5. Correct? That is a simplified expression. Now it says, if the person has a cup of tea on Friday morning back to back, simplify, then determine concentration of caffeine after 4 hours. That means when t is 4. So let's plug in 4 and find the solution. So caffeine after 4 hours will be, substitute 4 here. So we get 2 times 4 square minus 3 times 4 plus 5 over 4 minus 5 times 4 plus 5, correct? Which is, we can calculate this answer, right? So we have 2 times 16 minus 12 is 4, 4 plus 5 is 9, over, we have this as minus 1 times 5 and 5, 9, right? So that gives us minus 2 as the answer. So basically that means that the caffeine percentage after 4 hours is, it cannot be negative. So we'll write our answer as 0. Correct? So that is how we could actually solve this question. Now here is the last question, question number 12. Sketch graph of y equals to 4x plus 12 over 2x square minus 18. So we can simplify this, taking 4 common. We have x plus 3 in the numerator, divided by 2 is common. So we get x square minus 9. Now x square minus 9 can also be factored. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we get 2 times x plus 3 over x plus 3 times x minus 3, and this can be written as y equals to, we have 2 over x minus 3, where x is not equal to plus minus 3, correct? Now since one of the factors cancelled, we have a whole at x equals to minus 3, right? So we have a whole at x equals to minus 3. So if I substitute minus 3, then the y value will be at 2 over minus 6 or minus 1 over 3, correct? So we have a whole at minus 3 minus 1 over 3. We have a vertical asymptote at x equals to 3, and we have a horizontal asymptote which is y equals to 0, since the denominator is of higher degree. So as x approaches positive and negative infinity, y approaches 0, right? We can also find the x-intercepts, the y-intercepts. When x is equal to 0, then y is equal to minus 2 over 3, right? So we have a couple of points which can help us draw the graph of the given function. We know this is our horizontal asymptote, right? Y equals to 0. Then we do have a vertical asymptote, which is at x equals to plus 3, right? So 1, 2, 3. So that becomes the vertical asymptote. We have x equals to 0, y is minus 2 over 3. So close to 1, but less than that. So that is minus, that becomes the y-intercept. And then we also have a hole at minus 3, x minus 3, the value is minus 1 over 3. So somewhere very close, we have a hole here, correct? So connecting these points, we can always sketch the graph, which is kind of like this, right? And on this side, we can take a point, which is, let's say, 4. So if I take x equals to 4, right, in that case, y will be equals to 2, right? So at x equals to 4, y will be equal to 2. So that will be a value. And that can help us to sketch the graph on this side of the curve, right? So these points, that is the whole, that's the y-intercept. So we have y-intercept at minus 2 over 3. This hole is at minus 3, and the value is minus 3. And at minus 3, the value of y is minus 1 over 3. This point here is at 4. We calculate the y value to be 2. Correct? So these points help us to find this is y equals to 0 horizontal asymptote, and this is x equals to 3 as a vertical asymptote. So that becomes the graph for the given rational function, correct? So I hope the steps are absolutely clear. Feel free to write your comment, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for your time and all the best.